Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Wednesday Wise webinar. I'm Lauren Smith with the International Franchise Association. We have a great 60 minutes lined up for you today. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that we are recording today's webinar and will make it available later this evening on franchise.org. If you have any questions for today's speakers, please add them to the Q&A box or the chat, and they will be addressed toward the end. Today's topic is Blueprint for Franchise Growth, Success Strategies at 5, 25, 50, 100 locations and beyond, and it is brought to us by FranConnect. Here to provide today's discussion is Joffrey Ali, Chief Product Officer at FranConnect, and Vikram Raj, Senior Vice President of Product and Solutions at FranConnect. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to FranConnect for sponsoring. I'll go ahead and turn things over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren, and welcome everyone. I'm Vikram Raj, SVP of Product and Solutions at FranConnect. I'll get us started here, and Joffrey will join us in like a few minutes to move us along today's session and the topic. And as Lauren mentioned, we're going to talk about how you can leverage a data-driven approach, a blueprint for your growth as you scale your franchise organization from 5 to 100 plus locations here. I think as we would all agree that regardless of where you are within your growth journey, one of the common goals that you're all working towards is achieving that growth. Growth could be number of locations that you're looking to open or the territories you're looking to acquire or manage your operations in. Growth could be in revenue and also ultimately achieving that profitability within the business. As I mentioned, like in today's session, we'll be leveraging the data and insights from more than like 1,500 brands that FranConnect works with. A quick introduction on FranConnect. We work with franchise and multi-location businesses of all sizes, industries, and the data and insights that we are able to provide based on that, we'll be sharing that throughout today's session as well. All right. Jumping right in, we'll first cover like how we are getting these insights and recommendations because what we have done here is leveraging the data across more than 800 plus brands that FranConnect works with, leveraging insights from industry reports such as IFA's Economic Impact Report, Franchise Business Review Report. We have been able to look at data across 2 years, almost like 24 months, to bring you these insights to help you make best decisions to achieve that scalable, sustainable growth in your journey. Approximately, if you at the number of brands that are spread across different sizes, we're looking at the data from anywhere from like 20% of the brands that are considered as large enterprise systems, around 21% who are mid-sized, and then 59% emerging brands that will be we looked at the data for to get you these insights and recommendation here. As we look at the data, one of the critical insights that we got was that 94% of the franchise systems are never reaching more than 100 locations in their growth journey. And a key data point in that was that most franchise systems are stuck or achieve a plateau at around 27 locations in their growth journey. An interesting point in there is that 86% of the scaling failures that we saw are predictable, and we'll share like some of those best practices as we go through today's session on how you can leverage, again, these insights and recommendations to ensure that you are not falling into those pitfalls and are looking at this growth journey for your business at the right inception points that you go through from 5 locations to 25 and beyond to achieve 100 plus growth in your business. All right. So one other key insight here was that when we're looking at the data, there are almost like 50% of the franchise systems that are within that 1 to 25 location growth, and then only like a small percentage of the businesses like get to that 100 plus growth, like which is around like 8%. But the hidden truth in this data set was that the scaling issues that are faced by different businesses Doesn't matter like which concept you have, doesn't matter like how great your concept is, but what you need to do, how you need to act on like some of the processes and systems and data is different based on where you are in your growth journey. So what worked when you were, let's say, like 5 locations may not work when you get to 25 and get to like 50 plus and beyond. It's all about putting the right systems at the right time in place within your business to achieve and to continue to achieve that growth within your journey here as well. Again, if we break down the different brands based on the number of sizes that they have, we can look at the growth, three main growth phases that the brands go through. We look at these phases into three different parts, starting with foundation, where you are a business or a franchise concept within 1 to 25 locations, followed by acceleration phase, where you have 25 to 100 locations. And the last phase we talk about is optimization, where you get to 100 plus locations. What you're focused on, depending on which phase you fall into, is different. So what we see is that in the foundation stage, when you're focused on getting more leads, opening those locations that you have sold as part of your franchise agreements, uh, the key here is that you should be able to build scalable processes to achieve that sustainable growth, right? So if there are any bottlenecks, if there are any issues to achieve that, then getting to acceleration phase gets very hard, is what the data says. When you get to the acceleration phase, what we see is that brands are focused on achieving lead growth, and some of the numbers are highlighted here on the slides as well. Um, and at that stage of acceleration, putting the right support model, putting the right support structure is critical so that you can like then sustain that growth and keep adding more locations as part of your business as well. And
Hey,
lastly,
hey Vikram, I can just point out one quick thing. Sorry, guys. I just want to add a couple of things. I'm Jaffrey in here. So when you see the plus number in here, 49.4 plus 2022, 22.2%, because this is based off of 2 years data that we are looking at. So when you see the plus, it basically means what was the change in number in 2024 over 2023. So in the foundation, for instance, the 1 to 25 location, what the data showed was that there was 49.4% growth in openings in that segment. And that was the key metric that was driving that segment. And on the acceleration side, the lead growth was 22.2%, which means that from the 25 to 100 locations, that number was above the industry average, and it was the key metric that was the sort of the driver for that segment. And then I think so you can go to the sorry.
So then, thanks, Joffrey. So then when you go to the optimization phase, what we see is that brands, what their focus then is to refine their national presence, their overall presence within their business. And what's the key here? The challenge that the brands face is that how can we continue to innovate while maintaining the consistency? And we measure a score called the stability score, where if you are able to achieve a score within the range of like 80 plus, then you are able to get to that 100 plus location growth on a consistent basis and grow from there as well. But the key point here is that based on which phase you are in your growth journey, what worked when you were in the foundation phase versus like when you get to acceleration and optimization would be different, and the tools and the processes and the systems you need to put together, as well as the resources that you put together, would also be different. So what worked at one stage may not work at the other stage is the key that you should be looking after. All right. So on top of it, if we look at or if we layer in the multi-unit development evolution, we hear a lot, and like there's a lot of data around the brands growing through signing multi-unit area development agreements. But the other key point that we looked at from the data was that based on which phase you are in your growth journey, it's important to grow the right way, right? So if you are, for example, in the foundation phase, and if you end up signing multiple franchise agreements or development agreements for multi-unit growth, we oftentimes find that brands are not able to successfully open those locations, and majority of the locations like end up sitting in the sold but not open phase itself. So at the foundation phase, the key here is that once you're able to optimize your growth with the single unit success first, then only you should focus on moving to the next step of signing those multi-unit agreements. And then even like within the acceleration phase, being very selective about which owners you sign up with for multi-unit growth is also the key. And then lastly, when you get to the optimization phase where you have figured out your processes, you have figured out your support model, is when is the right phase to get those multi-unit agreements, development agreements signed as well. So again, the key here is that depending on which phase you are in your business, signing the right type of owners with your business, signing the right types of agreements is the key. And then we'll go more into the details on what we see from some of the most successful franchise brands in terms of the best practices that they deploy that we'll share with you shortly as well. All right, so let's drill into the foundation. How do you get to your first 25 locations growth here? As we discussed before, in this phase, a couple of key metrics that the brands are looking to track is like how can we get the right number of leads, get the right number of conversions. But the key focus here is to open those 25 locations or below on time. And the successful brands are able to open those locations. Approximately 50% of those brands are able to successfully open those locations here. So what do they do that's different from some of the brands that don't get to that phase or that success? The first thing here is that they focus on setting up the right digital foundation. What we found looking at the data was that the most successful franchise brands within this particular phase have really high engagement with their initial set of franchisees that they sign up. And then the most engaged franchisees open up locations typically on an average 5.3 months faster than the franchisees that are not engaged, right? So tracking of this data, tracking of these metrics become a key so that you are able to then sign the right owners as you move to the next step of your growth as well. The next point here I want to highlight is that what we found was that where you grow is also important. So finding the right markets to find the right locations or territory is also the key. So you can start with looking at the most adjacent markets that you are currently operating in to find where you should grow next. And as we'll talk about when you go into the acceleration phase, how you can leverage this baseline foundational data to get to the next level of expanding beyond these adjacent markets as well. One last thing I'll mention here is that because you're in the early phases of your growth, make sure that you're documenting all the processes and standardizing where applicable around the processes, because as you scale, as you get to the next level, as you grow, what we see is that it gets harder and harder to track these processes and deploy these more effectively as well. So here, when you are in the foundation phase, we also do recommend that setting some of the core KPIs for your business to track your growth journey as well from all aspects, right? So from tracking the data from your franchise sales, like are we converting the right number of leads, or are we converting at the right priority and velocity? What does our adoption rate looks like for all the technology systems and the digital tools we are providing to our franchisees? Because this will help you track your opening progress, your time to open is key here, right? So having that tracking available helps you get to that success much more faster than without having that information available. The other key metric here to track is the same store growth. So what we see again is more successful brands are on a consistent basis able to achieve 8% plus growth annually. And they're able to better track their unit economics to have that profitability in place right from the get-go, so that when you get to the next stage, it's much more sustainable, much more consistent growth that you're able to achieve as well. What you should target is based on your concept to open your locations in the right with the right efficiency under 15 months. And this data is aggregated across different industries. So if you are a service-based business, your timelines might be shorter. If you are a brick and mortar physical location business, your timelines might be extended as well. Right at this stage, we talked about like setting up some of the core like foundational tools. Some of the recommendations here would be that you have the right CRM in place so that you can track these metrics and then track the engagement across the digital tools, including the training that you're providing to your franchisees at this stage as well. Because as you move to the next level, which is the acceleration phase, it's important that your initial franchisees can work to help you sell those additional units. Because one of the key points here that when we looked at the data was that as you get to the acceleration phase, if you don't have the right support model, if you don't have those initial set of franchisees like working as to help you get those new franchisees like through referrals or through word of mouth marketing, then again, like it becomes harder to grow beyond a certain number of locations as well. From a support perspective, what we saw was that in this particular growth phase, brands start to put together a more comprehensive support model. They have FBCs that are aligned to different set of locations. From the ratio that we see typically is like one FBC per 20 locations that are assigned. So what that means is that the number of visits, number of engagements that are happening between the FBCs and the franchisees increase a lot. But if you don't have the right support model, putting the support model versus putting the right support model are two separate things. So if you don't have the right support model, what we find is that even if those engagements, even if those visits are increasing, the compliance rates, the performance of those franchisees oftentimes decrease, again, in absence of the right support model. So what we see is what we call here is the efficiency trap, right? So you might feel and you might see your data might say that, okay, we are doing the right level of engagement, but why are we not seeing the outcome? Why are we not seeing the performance improve here within our business? So what we recommend here is that putting the tiered based support model, which basically means that segmenting your franchisees based on performance. You want to spend time with your franchisees that might move from, let's say, your middle quartile or your like lower mid or like top mid quartile to the topmost quartile versus like working with your franchisee that might be in a bottom quartile. There might be franchisees that are in the bottom quartile that might require more attention. So where do you spend your time is key here so that you don't fall into that efficiency trap and you don't put together that linear support model, which is like more people across more locations or less locations does not mean that all franchisees and all people will be able to successfully support your franchisees as well. We did talk about leveraging your initial success to help you find more franchisees, but also your successful franchisees can help your struggling franchisees, right? So looking at like what worked in our top quartiles can help you put together a better plan, a playbook to help your bottom performers as well. So how you can leverage this network effect that you have established now and you are in this phase that you can use to help improve the performance of your business overall is what we are recommending here. What you can also do here is once you set that initial foundation in the scale phase, in the foundational phase, you should definitely like track provide like digital first support. So leveraging your LMS, leveraging your engagement platforms. What we found that the engagement, the more involved your franchisees are in terms of like collaborating with each other, the more success you can get overall through in this particular phase. So at this phase, what we also see is that brands now go beyond that adjacent market growth as well. So they're looking for getting more into like regional growth. So moving out of like the states that you initially were operating in or the territories you were initially operating in. So what we found like overall is that there are a few states that perform better in terms of like the lead generation as well as the opening, Texas being the highest here. But that doesn't mean that if, let's say, like everyone is growing in Texas, you should also be growing in Texas, right? So having a good understanding of your customer is the key here. Having an understanding of the demographics, looking at how your competitors are growing to help find the white space, to help find which markets are saturated is the key. So putting together the right like site selection tool or territory analysis tool is key here, so that you can find common patterns around lead gen to successful openings, and then focus on the white space opportunities versus the saturated markets is what we see with the data. A couple of other data points you can capture as part of your site selection tools is the economic indicators. So like there might be like certain regions where if you have data around population growth, that's a good way to see like where you should be first to market in that particular market as well, right? So leveraging this data points can help you find the right areas to grow as well, the right states to grow. And just because let's say like Texas or Florida have the highest openings and lead generation, again, doesn't mean that that's where you should be focusing on. You can, but leverage data, leverage best practices to make the right decisions for your business. All right, so the last phase here is the optimize phase, where once you get beyond 100 locations, what are some of the strategies and best practices you can leverage? So first thing we'll mention here is that this is the phase, again, where we see a lot of multi-unit development happening. You have at this stage hopefully figured out your key processes. You have established good systems. You have more technology deployments that you have done. And we'll talk about like some recommendations on the different tools and technologies you can deploy as well at each of these phases. But because you have set that foundation to achieve that growth, you're now able to provide better support to your more sophisticated owners to help those multi-unit owners that are signing up a 3-pack or a 10-pack deals with you, to help them open those locations on time, and you don't have locations that are sitting in SBNO for more than your defined like agreement timeframe. What we also see is that if you are able to successfully manage the opening and the performance of your locations, you are also able to effectively decrease the termination rates for your location. Right, once you have figured out like where you want to grow, it would not be wise or like good to terminate those locations, right, or like stop business. So how can you find like the right buyers for those locations? How can you work with your existing owners to then upsell those existing locations as well, instead of terminations as well. From a high level perspective, there's a score that, as I was mentioning before, that we are calculating and collecting here, what we call as a stability score. And your target should be to get higher than 80% here, or 80 score. And more successful brands are 84 to like 90 range within this particular phase of their growth. Couple of other things I'll mention here. When you're looking at your growth within this particular phase, you can also look at how you where you grow as well. So for example, if what we find is that this is the phase where brands also look at international expansion, but few things to keep in mind as you're exploring that. You need to like ensure that you're ready for that for that growth as well, right? So if you, let's say, like make decisions around international expansion, and you are in the foundation phase without setting up the right processes and support structure, it might be harder for you to like expand globally. So the recommendation here is that once you get to the optimization phase is when you can effectively like look at how do we now go international. A couple of models that we usually see brands follow. A most common one is the master franchise model, where you have your master franchisees who are operating and like selling on your behalf. And another common model that we are seeing more and more now is the joint venture model. These models help you reduce risk in your growth as well. Few more things that you should be prepared and ready in terms of achieving that international expansion is Localize where possible. Localize your products, localize your services. Make sure, again, you understand the demographics and your customers in that market. And that's where these joint ventures and master franchisees can help you. Typically, the type of investments and the amount of investment required to grow in these markets, what we see is around 2 to 3 times more than how you grow domestically. So to get the best ROI in your investment here is why you should look at this at the right phase of your growth as well. And then lastly, start with a small pilot before you identify that you want to grow across different regions, continents. Start with a small pilot, identify which market would be best suited based on your products and services. And then once that pilot is successful, then you can think about going beyond that region and then expanding into other regions as well. All right, so moving into what are some of the technology investments you can make at each of these phases to get to that scalable, sustainable growth from foundation to acceleration and optimization. At the foundation stage, it's very important that you have a basic CRM established so that you are not spending time managing processes manually or in spreadsheets, or you don't have full visibility into what's happening with your initial growth. Digital first here is always recommended to help your franchisees get the right level of information, training, and communication in place so that you can learn and support your franchisees effectively. So this is again like where some of these tools, if set up at the foundation level, can help you get to the next level more easily. When you get to the next phase here, and by the way, like these tools and processes build on top of each other. So just when you move to acceleration doesn't mean that you should not focus on establishing the communication and collaboration tool, but you should double down on other areas as part of these investments that you are looking at. So for example, when you go to acceleration phase, instead of like just managing your leads through a basic CRM, you should evaluate how can I look at the data that I have for territory management, effective lead routing. How can I score my leads so that my team is spending time with the right opportunities, as an example? How can we manage all our agreements and the key dates so that through automation, we can effectively manage renewals, as an example. This is the phase where you should also establish more comprehensive scorecards, dashboards, and BI and reporting tools so that when you get to this level of sophistication with your owners, they also have these tools available to them so that they can themselves optimize their own performance based on your operating guidelines and your SOPs as well. And then lastly, like when you are in the optimization phase, you can move towards setting a full automation, leveraging forecasting models, predictive models to predict where your growth is going to come from. This is where you typically also need like an end-to-end franchise management solution so that you are all across your departments and your functions are working collaboratively and there are no data silos that are being established. And then as you look at expansion into international markets, the tools that you are using should be supported on multiple languages, and the support should be available across multiple time zones so that the service providers and the vendor suppliers that you work with are working with you and on your behalf to support your franchisees and your business to grow. From an investment perspective, what we see is that it takes around like 12 to 18 months to start getting the ROI on those investments as well. So again, if you set the right foundation in the early phases, it builds on top of each step that you're setting up to get you to that optimization phase. That's where all of us are working towards, right? So if you make these investments and focus on the right areas, the data says that you should be able to get to that optimization phase more effectively as well within your business. When you make these technology investments, we recommend you track some of the key KPIs here so that you can make sure that your investments are being put at the right place here. So first of all, I think financial metrics are very important to track to measure that ROI. So on an average, we see that if the brands are making these investments, they're able to get approximately like 5.8% same store sales growth through their digital channels, or like by establishing these digital tools. Because these tools are also helping your teams get more effective and more efficient, you can track like how effective our team is in terms of, as we talked about the opening, what we see is that with these tools in place, you're able to reduce your time to open to approximately like 5.5 months or so. Your lead conversion rates also increase if you have the right CRM in place and you're deploying automation. So we typically see a 34% lead conversion improvement with the right tools in place as well. And that eventually impacts your franchisee retention as well, because the more successful your franchisees are, the more effective your team is in terms of supporting those franchisees, the more engaged they are, the less likelihood it is for them to be an underperformer. And if they are underperformers, you're able to predict and analyze what to do and deploy the right level of playbooks for them so that they can effectively grow and get back to their growth trajectory as well. All right, so we covered a lot of information and data and content here. We wanted to leave you with some actions that you can take as next steps as you look at this information, as you analyze like where you are within your growth journey and your tools and your solutions. So the first step here, of course, is to do an assessment of where you are within your business. Like you can do this assessment in two folds. You can look at just simply based on number of locations you have. And then you can also look at this from a digital readiness perspective as well. Like, do we have the right processes in place? Do we have the right tools in place? Do we have the right support model? Or are we setting up, or are we set up to set up the right support model as we move to the next stage here? You can also establish a KPI dashboard that can help you track some of these KPIs within your business. And the recommendation here is that start small. You don't have to like put together like a comprehensive dashboard that covers like 20 different KPIs. You can start with the KPIs that we shared with you, like 4 to 5 KPIs across your different business functions are oftentimes like good enough to get started. So start small and then scale from there. And then establish a 90-day implementation plan based on the resources and the information that you were able to capture here, right? So by following these 4 steps, you should be in a good place to start identifying where you might have potential gaps and how you can achieve that sustainable growth. And as we covered like before, that regardless of your concept, regardless of your size, what we find is that most franchise brands, 94% don't go beyond 100 locations. But our data says that if you have these processes in place, you should be able to get past that plateau of growth within your business as well. Just a quick recap on some of the tools you can establish as well on measuring the KPIs, measuring the ROI, and also like where you might be. So again, just a quick summary for foundation brands who are 1 to 25 locations, focus on single unit growth first. Try to establish a basic digital foundation so that when you get to the acceleration phase of 25 to 100, you're able to grow more consistently across different regions, are able to provide the right level of support. The leads that you get are being engaged and are getting the right message through the different platforms that you're using. And then when you get to the optimization phase, focus on leveraging data, focus on achieving that stability score of 84% and above, or 80 and above, so that you can grow in a sustainable fashion within your particular business. So with that, I'll take a look at like if there are questions that we can help answer here.
Vikram, I don't think there are any questions in here, but one thing that, thanks for it looks like we had a great attendance here. But one thing that was really interesting about this is that if you go to the first slide, the data itself, so this entire presentation was driven by the data that we had, which included the FranConnect data, the anonymized data from our customer base, as well as correlating this with IFA's data that they put. I think every year they published it. So we combined industry data along with our data to create these insights. So every single one of these are statistically significant, validated data that compares, your peer groups if you're in the franchising industry based on which segment you're in. So this was our one. I think that's what makes this thing unique.
And if you have questions later on, here's our email addresses. Feel free to reach out and we can do a deep dive review with you or answer any specific questions that you might have as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Vikram. So somebody asked a question, the data. Okay. All right. Thanks, Gail.
Thank you. We can go ahead and give everyone some time back. So thank you very much again, Vikram and Joffrey. This was excellent content and excellent feedback from all of you. We really do appreciate it. Again, this webinar was recorded and along with the presentation deck will appear on our website early this evening. You'll be able to find that at franchise.org. Thank you very much again to Joffrey, Vikram, and the rest of the FranConnect team. And again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day and stay safe and healthy. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.